So Kate, one of the things we tried to do in our review article is integrate the various theories that are being used in the justice literature. Some of those theories are what you might call theories created by justice scholars for justice scholars. And so I'm thinking of fairness theory, deviance theory, fairness heuristic theory, uncertainty management theory, the group engagement model, the relational model, theories like that, most of which were created and introduced in the late 90s, early 2000s. There are, though, a couple theories from outside, from other realms of OB, that we've kind of imported into the justice literature and applied in our work. I'm thinking of social exchange theory and affective events theory. One of the places where this integration really lives is in the figure 2 in our paper. And so when you think about figure 2, what stands out to you?
For me, figure 2 really helped me understand the fairness theories and how they explain why people think about fairness, and then what mediators we choose and what behaviors we choose. So if I think about fairness heuristic theory, this is about trustworthiness and how people decide whether to interact with somebody, say their supervisor. And so if they see them as fair, then they switch into something like a group mode where they're more oriented to what's beneficial to the group. And that drives behaviors like OCBs and helping behaviors. Similarly, the group relational model, also thinking about their relationship to the group, but more about status. So what fairness says about their status in the work group. And this leads to some kind of identity. So if they see themselves as being treated very fairly, they strongly identify with the group or the supervisor, and lead to similar behaviors of helping and cooperation. Now, both of those are very cognitive, and so we also included theories that speak to more affective mediators. So, for example, fairness theory or deviance theory is thinking about morality. So it leads to these really intense visceral reactions when they determine things are unfair. They feel some moral outrage, and this drives some negative behaviors such as deviance or withdrawal. Where uncertainty management is also talking about negative emotions, but this is more about the anxiety experienced when they experience uncertainty about anything. And fairness helps secure them or reduce that anxiety and feel more comfortable. And so it reduces the negative emotions and reduces these negative behaviors like deviance and withdrawal.
And so if we move to kind of the outside of the justice literature theories, the figure describes how they kind of play with the justice theories themselves. Take social exchange theory. What strikes me when I think about figure 2 is it's operationally very consistent with fairness heuristic theory. Why do we think about justice to begin with? Well, I'm uncertain about trustworthiness. If I find that I am fairly treated, then what does that do? Well, it creates a social exchange relationship, which is much like what Lyndon Vandenbos called group mode. What kinds of behaviors does that create? Well, reciprocative behaviors, which are very much like cooperative behaviors, high levels of citizenship behavior, high levels of job performance, and so forth. And by the same token, affective events theory winds up being quite similar to uncertainty management theory. Why do I care about justice? Well, I'm uncertain about progress towards goals. Well, I have a lot of goals, so it's all, again, a very general, overarching trigger. If I am fairly treated, I feel positive affect. Well, what does that do? Create spontaneous instances of helping behavior or altruism or courtesy or civic virtue. And if I'm not fairly treated, I'm worried about progress towards goals, I feel that negative affect, uncertainty, anxiety, maybe even anger, that creates spontaneous instances of deviant behavior, counterproductive behavior, and withdrawal. And so I think you can see these justice theories and these other two theories have a lot of commonalities, a lot of synergies. And so I think for the audience, for the people that are reading this chapter, the question becomes, what suits my research question the best? Sometimes there's going to be one pick, and sometimes there's going to be multiple picks, and you have to think through what's really my mediating mechanism, what's really my trigger for thinking about these things, and what makes sense for me in my particular study.